Hey, my Diecast fans, what's going on? Hope you are doing good and keeping happy and staying well and all those good things. All right, so you can see we got a full table today, huh? So I'm going to dive right into this, okay? So I thought today we'd tip a hat to the old boomer generation, my parents' generation. My pop lives out there in Denver, will especially appreciate this video. And we'll take a look at some 60s classics, okay? So we've got, let's see, Auto World, Johnny Lightning, Green Light, and I think there's even one lonely Matchbox up there. But it's a really good extra special Matchbox. I think you'll get a kick out of it, all right? So, let's dive into this little video about 60s classics we got here. We're going to have multiple manufacturers, you know, Buick, Ford, Pontiac, you name it. We got a bunch of them up here. So, on the turntable right now, we have spinning a beautiful, looks like a powder blue, 1962 Chevrolet Impala. Me personally, I like the 64 the best, but the 62 is almost as attractive in my eyes, as I'm sure you'll agree. So this is an Auto World casting, and Auto World makes this car in so many versions. This one is not depicted with the famous 409. It looks like it's a small block, either 283 or 327. Got this gorgeous metallic appearing interior, which, by the way, you should know that in the 1960s, that was a real thing. They had interiors that had a almost metallic hue to them. It was actually quite attractive, right? This being a convertible, this is extra sexy looking. I got the classic Impala 6 taillights, the stainless steel trim in the center there. Nice body side trim here depicted as well. This is in the years they were still kind of doing the bubble windshield. So when they had those little two-door Biscaynes, they used to call them a bubble top. So that's kind of cool. And then under here, you see a good depiction of the X-frame that they did with the dual exhaust. This would have had anything from like a 4-speed manual to a 2-speed power glide. And yeah, overall, this is a very, very sharp car, very stylish. You know, this is in an era when even if you owned a humble Chevrolet, it was still a very stylish car that actually looked probably a little better than you would realize. Very popular. All right, moving on. Now, speaking of 1964, as I was just talking about, I'm going to show you two examples. Actually, I have three examples to show you from 1964. Let's start with this one. One of my personal favorites also. This would have been direct competition for the Chevy Impala. This is a Ford Galaxy 500 XL. Now, these could have had anything in them from a 390 up to, there was, believe it or not, a 427, but that was more of like a race engine. There was a special prepared version of the Galaxy 500 that had that engine. These also came in coupe and convertible, and just also like the Impala, very beautifully styled car. Bucket seats. This was in the days when a muscle car was basically a full-size car with a big engine and a bucket seat and console combination. Intermediate muscle cars started coming out in 64 with the Pontiac GTO and also some of those Dodges that were kind of funny styled. You see, the Galaxy was a very stylish car in this era. 1964 really is one of those years that stands out for automotive styling. It really represents a high watermark. There were several years that are like that. Some of the other ones that stand out in my mind are, let's see, like 1969, 1972, 1978. Those are all years where there's an overwhelming number of just really handsome, beautiful cars that were out in those years. This is a very nice model. Now, Ford did theirs a little bit differently. They use a more traditional perimeter frame for their full-size car. And you could also get a manual or automatic in one of these. Imagine rowing a 4-speed in a car this big. Wouldn't that be just cool? And as was so perfect of the jet age, you'll notice the tail lamps kind of reflect like the exhaust of a jet. That's not by mistake. That was by design. Very sharp looking. All right, another fine example from 1964, and also one of the most gorgeous cars that GM ever did. So, this is a Grand Prix by Pontiac. Now, in this age, the Grand Prix was not an intermediate. It was just a very sporty especially styled full-size car. The Grand Prix had a little bit different roof line and also this slightly like concave rear window. This was also the second year they had stacked headlights on the Grand Prix. See the little GP symbol right there. This is an Auto World casting, as was the Galaxy I just showed you. So you know you got your bucket seats, your console. Once again, they're irritating me with this boring black interior. Then they're here. I'm trying to remember what engines they had. I know a 326 was one of the base engines, but I think the Grand Prix had much bigger engine though. I want to say it was a 428, but I could be wrong about that. No, a 421. That's right. That's what they had in this around this point in time. They had a 421. That's right. The 428 came later. Beautifully styled tail lamps on there. And I think this is depicting, if I look carefully, yeah. So they had these special 8-lug wheels back then you could get on one of these. And it was kind of interesting because it actually incorporated the brake drum. So the center of the wheel was actually the brake drum. And then the outer part of the wheel was held with 8 lug nuts to that brake drum. And when the two pieces were combined, it looked like a very stylish wheel. It was just really cool how they did that. I like the color blue on this. It has a very oceanic appearance to it. Great metallic flake on there too. All right, so continuing on with 1964, as I said, styling high water mark, right? So this is a 64 Riviera. This is actually a Matchbox casting. This is one of their moving parts cars. And this one is a really high effort from them. You'll notice this has got rubber tires on it with very stylish wheels. You remember the movie Roadhouse? The character Dalton, played by Patrick Swayze, he had one of these. I think his was a 65, though. I'm going to show you a 65 next. Nice low back bucket seats with a little nice console. These would have had the Buick Nailhead 401 V8. So in 63 and 64, they had the exposed headlights like you see here. The 65 was different. I'll show you that in a moment here. They did a nice job depicting the little pleating on the door panels there. Well done tail lamps there. And they have a nice chromed out chassis, which gives you, of course, chrome bumpers. And so I'm having a tough time reading this. This is a fairly recent casting. This is not by any means a vintage casting at all. This came out sometime in the 2020s. Really nice job they did. I like it. And of course the doors open and close just beautifully. See, remember in the days you could get a Matchbox like this, well, without rubber tires, of course. You know, you used to be able to get a nice Matchbox like this for $1. Now you got to pay $8 for one of these babies. All right, now I'm going to show you the 1965 version. This is a Johnny Lightning car. All right, now this is the version that Dalton had in Roadhouse. He liked the 65. Because why? What did the 65 have? And remember when he was at the dealership and he asks, do those work? And then the guy demonstrates them. They got the clamshell headlights. See, so when you're driving around in the day, you got this just beautiful, seamless front end. And then the headlamps were behind these little doors here that opened up like a clamshell. And they were unfortunately kind of problematic, which is probably why Dalton asked, hey, do those work? Another beautiful effort. This one, I love they put this white interior in here. Really gorgeous color. This is almost like, I can't even tell you what color that is. It's like, is it blue? Is it silver? Is it a very faint green? I mean, it's stunning. But I like it. And this has an opening hood too. Let me see if I can get it open for you. There you go. There's your 401 nail head. Black dash with the white interior. You can't go wrong with that. That was a very stylish 60s combination. Some of these cars in the 60s, I think the 66 Ford Galaxy was one of them. They actually had a pearlescent white interior. Very sharp. All right. There's the tail lamp treatment on the 65. Johnny Lightning did. And yeah, they were still using an X-frame in 65, as you can see here. Very stylish cars. Ah, beautiful. All right, continuing with model year 1965. Let me show you. This will be one of my pop's favorites because my dad's dad, my grandpop, and my dad were both Pontiac fans. So this is a 1965 Catalina 2+2, and this would have had a 421 with tri-power, 3 2-barrel carburetors. So another example of a full-size muscle car. A Bonneville was similar in appearance. They did make a two-door Bonneville with this fastback roofline. The differences was the Bonneville would have had fender skirts, and also the Bonneville is built on a longer wheelbase than the Catalina. But still a big, very roomy car. This is almost like a faint lavender color. It's quite beautiful. Once again, hate the boring black interior. Wish I would have put a white one in it like that Riviera had. There's your 421 tri-power. Kind of a weak effort by Johnny Lightning. They don't really detail their engines too much. I do like the red line tires and this choice of wheel that they put on there. The wheel style is actually kind of generic. I've actually seen this on several other Johnny Lightning cars, but you know what? You got to admit, on this car, it works. It really does. And let me tell you what, but these Catalinas with that 421 and that tri-power, these big cars would move, man. This thing didn't fool around. And of course, this was, 65 was another high water mark for styling, because this is when Pontiac really kind of refined the stacked headlamp look for their cars. That is really nice how they did that. Classic little V shape on the hood there. Character lines cast in. All right. Now we're going to move into 1966. And that is going to be represented by a 66 Impala. All right. Another big, fantastic muscle car. This is an Auto World casting. It's a Super Sport version of the Impala. This would have a big block in it. Probably most likely a 396. Also Buckingham console. And they're bugging me again with that black interior. Why couldn't you put a blue one in there, guys? See, to me, lighter color interiors, you can view them better inside the car. They give it some pop. I just don't understand why more manufacturers don't do that. Why I don't recognize that. I think it's a cost-cutting move. See, once again, Auto World with the fine details they do. It says Chevrolet script right there. Got those lovely tail lamps. Yeah, 66 was a really great year for the Impala. Just so stylish. Absolutely nice. They did a really good job with this casting too. Got the skinny whites. Now, this was finally the year they switched to a more traditional perimeter frame, which was not only more sturdy, but a lot safer. The X-frame cars were, oh God, I hate to say it, but they were death traps. Beautiful cars, but the underframe was, in certain collisions, the damn car could take your life, Goodness. Lovely car. All right, now, continuing on Impalas, actually, let me show you this one first. We're going to head into model year 1967. I'm trying to do it in order by model year if I can. All right, so you ever seen the TV series Supernatural with the Winchester boys, Dean and Sam? They fight demons. I've watched that show kind of off and on. I find it wildly unbiblical, but it is entertaining. But anyways, this is the car that is nicknamed Baby by Dean Winchester. 1967 Impala four-door sports sedan. This is a Greenlight casting because why? Once again, Greenlight's the only one that's got the guts to create a four-door car, and I love it. And I just think this is so cool. You could get a 427 in an Impala this year. And this one, now in this car, the black interior works, although I kind of find it interesting. It's got like a parchment tan door panels, dashboard, and package tray, but the seats are black. That is interesting. This is a four-door hardtop. Notice there's no center pillar right here. So when all the windows are rolled down, you got this nice airy cabin like that. So in case you didn't have air conditioning, this was almost the next best thing. That and going 65 miles an hour. So slight styling revision to 1967 over 1966. They kept the kind of horizontal style tail lamp, just like in 66 there. And overall, this of course has those custom wheels, so this is not a factory wheel. So yeah, pretty nice effort by Greenlight. Really like that casting. I like the fact that they did a four-door. And there's other versions of this out there too that they do. All right, now we're going to look at a pair of 1968 Impalas. I got a lot of Impalas up here. In fact, I think these are actually the last two cars I'll show you in this collection today. All right, so both these castings are by Johnny Lightning. So we have a 1968 coupe and convertible which I think is fantastic. I love the fact that they made two body styles of the same car. I wish actually more manufacturers would do that, let you pick and choose. Auto World does do that with this Impala. You can get a hardtop version of that if you so desire. I have not seen a hardtop version of the Galaxy yet, I'm sorry, a convertible version of the Galaxy. I haven't seen that yet, so I'm going to keep an eye out for that. I'll show you the convertible first. Like matches perfectly the interior versus exterior. 68 had this really stylish 3-spoke steering wheel they had. And they also noticed they went back to the round tail lamps in 68. They kind of broke tradition the prior 2 years before this. You'll see there's a revision to the styling. You'll notice that they went the more expensive route with the hood. See, the type of hood that the 67 had, that's called an alligator hood. This is called a pancake hood when you have a header panel separating the hood opening. That's more expensive to produce. So they went that route this year. And then in 69, they would go back to the more alligator style hood. Really nice effort. And this is depicted with Chevy rally wheels, which would have been an option definitely for those days. This was big block powered. Once again, there would be a 427 you could get in this. Also a 396 would have been, probably more the base engine. 12-bolt rear if it's a big block. And then the coupe version. This one's more, comes across like a resto mod. The reason I say that is because it's got these kind of funky custom rims on here. But still a pretty nice effort. So this would have been the most expensive of the Impalas other than the convertible, because this has got the formal kind of roof on it. There was also a fastback version in 68 as well. So this would have been almost like the 1/3 off Caprice in a way. With this style here. Wish they would have did a red interior instead of the black one. Oh gosh. Looks like it's got a California plate on there. That's kind of neat when they do that sometimes. But yeah, not a bad effort for Johnny Lightning. They do really good. Let me see if I can get this hood open. I think one of these, at least, I can get the hood open. Yeah, here we go. Don't open very far, though. Gives you a glimpse under there. There's also small block engines available in these, too. But let's face it, the big block was a lot more fun now, wasn't it? Yep. So there we have it. Boomers, Gen Xers, and everybody before and after. 1960s classics. Can't go wrong with those. Lots of manufacturers. All right, guys. So just want to say thank you for tuning in. Really enjoy all your input, your comments, all that good stuff. And I'm going to keep the content coming. So in the meantime, you guys, God bless. And we'll see you in the next video. Take care.